Hello, welcome to the Relation Skippers podcast, where Craig and I talk about guys getting wise.
We're wise guys, kind of. Not really.
Big shoulders?
We just don't rub people out. We rub people the wrong way.
We do,
I guess that makes us a little bit of wise guys.
It's like an abstract rubbing people out.
Right, yeah.
Today is
We are doing chapter 6 of my book, coming out very soon. We'll keep saying that until one day. But Get the F Out of My Life, about how to help men get over a bad breakup.
When is very soon? So today,
when I hope, end of June, early July.
2019.
Correct.
We've already spent the last 5 podcasts?
We've done 5 chapters. Number 1, extricate. 2, contemplate. 3, recuperate. 4, collaborate. 5, participate. And today is chapter 6, rejuvenate. How to get your happy ass healthy again.
Why did you write this book, by the way?
I wrote it because I saw that women seem to be on an ascendancy. They're doing well. They're more graduating from college. They have groups. They get together with friends when they break up with somebody. They have the tend and befriend stress response. So there's lots of research that says men do worse. And I'm talking about good guys, good, thoughtful men, not the players, not the alpha males. They're going to go on and be fine. This is for guys that are more thoughtful, that are more trying to figure things out. And after a bad breakup, especially if they tried to give it a good go, lots of men have a really tough time because we end up staying on our own and trying to move forward with our own fix-it system, but we're not making use of all the tools that are out there to help us move forward. And so I tried to gather that into a book, Get the F Out of My Life, which you can read the book or listen to an earlier podcast to know where that story came from, the title.
The subtext of that, to me, is valuable. You didn't title it A Plan for Getting Back on Your Feet.
Right. People would jump right over that title.
Yeah. It's important, and this is going to be the key takeaway, I think, from now on, in my opinion, is that the first chapter of the book tells you the most important thing. The extrication is to get yourself out of the habit and the mindset and the kind of the pathway that got you into the situation in the first place with that other person.
Correct.
With the woman.
Stop the yo-yo. No to yo-yo. And then we talk about in the book and previous podcast on how to do that, how to extricate. You need, in my opinion, depending on your individual situation, you need 100% withdrawal from that person, physical and emotional. If you have kids together, then it can't be, you've got to still work with that. You will see them physically at times, but you need 100% emotional withdrawal. And that's where men have a hard time, I think, because of the way our brain is structured, et cetera, et cetera. So,
I like the title too because it gives guys permission first to shout.
Yes, like I did into the phone. That's where the title came from, to get that woman out of my life. And
second, to actually say that, because the kind of gentleman to whom we're talking now is most likely a gentleman. He's a good guy.
A good guy, a nice guy, and sometimes a guy that doesn't quite know how to... Look, first of all, let's face it, men are managing our aggression response, right? Our stress response is fight or flight. That's a good thing when we're presented with a bear charging us in the woods or a home invader, right? But it's not very helpful during an emotionally big, stressful situation.
One thing you've taught me in our years of podcasting is the two behaviors, or the behaviors that men and women both need to curb. And I'd never thought of it in this simple terms before. Men need to curb their violence and their sexual aggression.
Correct.
In order to be better men.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten what the women thing was because it didn't really matter to me. What do women need to curb?
Well, okay, and I call it moderating. That's why I think the male-female yin-yang is really good, a good relationship. The man moderates something in the woman moderates something in the man. And a good woman is moderating that aggressive response in her man. It's natural, but he's got to manage it himself. But women help us with the managing of that because, first of all, they provide oxytocin to us, the bonding hormone, which calms down our aggressive response in some ways. And that's almost a whole nother podcast of what men moderate in women. And I think we should do that podcast, but maybe we should talk about Rejuvenate, how to get. This is getting physically healthy. We've been working on getting emotionally healthy, right? But let's face it, and the truth is, there's an article in Psychology Today. It was called "Why Breakups Are Actually Tougher on Men," and here's a quote from that. It's much of the negative effect of divorce on men's health may be explained by changes in lifestyle, such as tobacco and alcohol use. Wives encourage husbands' healthy behavior. That's a moderating aspect, right? And without this positive influence, divorced men may rapidly fall into old, unhealthy habits. Drink more, smoke more, eat bad food. And other research shows that men's eating habits decline after a divorce, and women's either stay the same or actually improve. They eat better. So we have to have a plan, and that's part of what this book is for. Get a plan to get physically healthy. And here's another interesting quote that there's a social network for athletes called Strava, and they analyzed more than 31 million online global activities through their app to see how people pinpoint the date that most people start failing at their New Year's resolution plan. And what date do you think that was? In March, April?
February the 2nd.
January 12th. So we all get super excited. We're on January 1. I'm going to get healthy this year. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to eat better and all this stuff, right? And this is an app service tracking for athletes, and they start failing around January 12th.
Which comes to the question of motivation. Now, the key thing you just talked about there was that women, after a breakup, after they've extricated, eat better and look after themselves better than they did when they were with you, and men do the opposite. Okay, so there's an infinite amount you can talk about in that area.
Exactly, and it's because, in my opinion, women will get together with other women who will encourage healthy behaviors. Men will stay on their own. So what is the natural thing to do? Reach for a beer. Reach for a cigarette. Reach for deep-fried chicken something, right? But there's another element, and this I highlight in the book too. There's Roy Baumeister, who is a PhD, really smart guy, and he wrote a book called Willpower, Rediscovering the Greatest Human Strength. And what he found was when we try to stick to things, we use up glucose in our brain, and that is the fuel that allows us to have willpower. So when we're trying not to do something, we use that up, and then we have less willpower. And I think that's the reason people don't know this, so they start to give up soon. They think, okay, well, I've lost my motivation, which maybe they really haven't. It's just they've lost the glucose, the fuel to the brain to help them accomplish their goal. So he actually did an experiment where he had many students work on their posture for a week. So the goal was to stand up straight, right? And they had to keep a log of how often they did it. And so what they found in his research, and he was analyzing brains as well as the people, and found that when they did the willpower thing, they did worse at it showed that their willpower weakened after standing up straight, which confirmed the idea that you're using up fuel, and that's the reason you have less willpower to resist getting the cheesecake, you know.
So willpower requires fueling constantly.
Good fuel. But what he also found out was they ended up doing better on tests unrelated to posture. So what he discovered was that practicing willpower and fueling it well will have extra side benefits. So in other words, let's apply it to you're trying to extricate from the woman that you're not seeing anymore, and she sends you an angry text. Well, of course, your first thought is you want to fire right back, right? But you decide not to because our book said don't do it. That act of willpower is you're going to be tired afterwards. You're going to have a feeling of, oh my God, you know, over time it'll be tiring to practice willpower. However, if you continue to do that, you continue to strengthen your ability to extricate and achieve your goal. So, the whole point of this chapter is about let's get the best chance to be able to fuel our willpower. And that includes eating well, getting good sleep, you know, all the usual things that people talk about in terms of getting healthy. But I was just wanting to highlight that it's not necessarily your pure weakness. It's actually that your brain uses up its energy to help you along.
I am a fan of simplicity and setting low bars for achievement. And in this case, a low bar of achievement would be the example that you gave. If you're in that particular position in your relationship where you're still getting texts, where you've extricated, chapter 1, but she hasn't recognized the extrication.
She's still trying to yo-yo you in and out of the struggle.
Let's set the bar really low and say not replying, presuming you've made the decision to do
this.
Yeah,
we're talking about, you know, it's over.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
Okay.
So you've made that decision. Good. Step 1. Step 2, I will make this extrication effective. And the one thing I will do, even if I do crazy, stupid other things, is I won't reply by phone call or text.
Right.
That's it. That's your goal. So that's the stuff.
Great idea. That's a good way to start. That's my plan. I won't answer a phone call or a text for the next month.
And if I'm understanding what you say properly, the willpower that you use to do that isn't an enormous amount, but it's still some, right?
Yeah.
That requires fueling. But the willpower then to do that is a universal skill or a universal way of thinking then that you can use for other steps in your book, for example, or other steps in life.
Exactly. But Baumeister found that you can strengthen this, quote, muscle of willpower. But you do it you do willpower activities.
Yes.
And then just be prepared that it's going to use up the glucose. And so if you know that, you think, oh, maybe instead of having the beer, you know, I'll have a good quality herbal drink. I mean, and I know that is also using willpower, but the point is that you have to come up with a plan, and we can move to some ahoys too, by the way, because of course it's going to be hard no matter what. And so let's say you're going to start getting healthy, so you're going to join a gym and start working out. Well, guess what? Because of the willpower loss, you may stop going. But if you have a workout buddy, a friend, or a trainer that you have to meet, then you'll keep going. And then that's how you strengthen your willpower, by the do it anyway thing. even though you will feel a little more drained because you used willpower to not do something else.
I want to just take one step back from that. And my theory of setting the bar low again is that if, let's say, you haven't been going to a gym regularly and you haven't built up that willpower, even the most simple activity of putting on gym clothing and going to the gym and doing 5 minutes and then leaving is a way to build up willpower to
That's
do it.
true. However you want to do it that works for your plan. I'm trying to do a blueprint here, but of course, each person comes up with their own plan. And then another suggestion is you say, if you just, I should eat better. Well, that may not be good enough. You may have to hire a nutritionist or buy a book on nutrition. In other words, make action plans. Don't just think I'll do it, because you'll fall back into the easy way. And as we know now, you'll lose the energy to do it. But with a plan, you're much more likely to. Or, better yet, have somebody you have to meet. You have an obligation, which makes you do it, even if you don't feel like it.
I'm going to do it.
Yes.
Put it through my filter, which is to say, okay, I'm not going to have fast food until next Monday. Again,
that's great.
Lower the bar.
Great. Yep.
And then when
little
you get
bites,
when you get to the successful end of the Sunday, say that's a week hence, it often works well. Okay, I can do another day now.
Yeah.
And then you do another day, and then okay, so you might fall back into a bad habit, but then you say, okay, I'm going to do another week. I want to give everybody permission to do it in small bites.
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing that up, because one of the suggestions I had was don't do everything at once.
Yeah.
Because what happens is the New Year's resolutions are, I'm going to lose weight, stop drinking, stop smoking, and eat better. And then they fail January 12th.
Yeah, you don't do any of them.
I would say, first of all, start February 1st instead of January 1st, because the holidays are stressful. But do one thing a month. I'm going to join a gym for a month. Then I'm going to start eating better the next month. And then, in other words, an action plan that you can do, just like you were saying. You were coming up with the one that might work for you, you see. So, do not try to do it all at once. Then you'll use up all of the glucose and all of the willpower.
And because we're on your side, success is critical, because when you fail at any of these things too, that's why I'll say it again, set the bar low.
Yes.
And succeed, because you can. Let's make sure that you succeed.
Absolutely. And the title is Get the F Out of My Life. It really means get the failings out of my life. And the relationship was a failing, and a lot of these other things that led up to it are failings that have been dragging you down. The goal is to get the failings out of your life. And then I've got other suggestions, like if you're not sleeping well. Years ago, I was not sleeping well, and we actually got a new bed, and I started sleeping much better. And I thought, wow. And I had been to like a sleep doctor or whatever. And if you can't afford that, just get a new mattress topper. I mean, those things are pretty inexpensive now, and you may find, oh, wow, I'm sleeping better.
Right. And the mental activity of working in that direction again, it's doing something outside of the rut you've been in is often the change you need. Often the change of mental energy is as good as anything else.
Absolutely. And to cap it off, I think the biggest one is all, laugh your ass off. Find a way to get laughter back in your life. Getting together with your buddies, laugh your ass off. Watch funny movies, whatever it would take for you to get to the place of laughter again, because that hormonally is good. I actually do something, and I call it laughitation, and I've written up how to do it in the book. But it's a 5-minute thing where I force myself to laugh instead of meditate. Meditation was always hard for me. I couldn't sit there and and be ultra quiet. That didn't work for me. So I do almost like a noiseless belly laugh, and I'm pushing air out, and I do it for 5 minutes, and it actually literally changes my mood, because the hormonal balance, you're shifting hormones in your body when you do that. And I would take my heart rate before, and it might be fast or feeling a little irregular, and after I did that, it would be slower and more regular. I mean, so come up with actual things to do. Don't just think I'll get better on my own. That's where guys fall down, because we stay on our own and we don't have a plan. You got to have a plan.
Okay, that was chapter 6, Rejuvenate, in the book, which is called, and now I know what the F stands for. I thought it was a somewhat coarse word. But
oh, it was. I used it originally, the actual word. That was what it was used 30 years ago when I said it to the woman. But I made it more apply to the book.
Get the F out of my life. Get the failings out of my life.
That's right.
And we will be doing the second to last chapter next time.
Chapter 7.
Chapter 7.
Appreciate. And
Awesome.
this is all about gratitude.
All right. I think that's good.
And I'm grateful for you and this podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Indeed. That sounds like a very nice sentence.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.